The stars stretched endlessly before the Velhari fleet, their massive ships cutting through space like silver daggers. Queen Isendra stood on the bridge of her flagship, her tall frame casting a shadow across the viewing screen. Her skin shimmered with a faint blue luminescence, a trait of her species that brightened with emotion. Today, it remained dim, controlled. "Mother, look at that planet." Princess Caleth pointed toward a blue and green world in the distance. "It's beautiful." Isendra smiled at her daughter. Caleth was young by Velhari standards, barely into her second century. This diplomatic mission was meant to be her introduction to leadership, a peaceful first contact with a species called humans. The Velhari had met hundreds of alien races. This would be no different. "Yes, my heart. That is their home. Earth, they call it." Isendra placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Remember what I taught you. Every species deserves respect. We approach with open hearts." Caleth nodded, her own skin glowing with excitement. She had studied the humans for months, learning their languages, their history. They were young, violent at times, but showed promise. She wanted to meet them, to understand them. The fleet slowed as they reached the designated meeting point, a neutral zone near a small moon. Human ships appeared on the scanners, smaller than Velhari vessels, but numerous. The communication officer turned to Isendra. "Your Majesty, we are receiving their greeting transmission." "Put it through," Isendra commanded. A human face appeared on the screen, wearing a formal uniform. He spoke in standard galactic language, welcoming them. Isendra responded with equal courtesy. Everything seemed perfect. But somewhere in the shadows of that moon, a group of humans watched with different intentions. They were not official military. They were colonial militia, settlers who had lost family to alien raids from other species. To them, all aliens were threats. They saw the Velhari fleet and saw only invaders. Their leader, a bitter man named Carver, stared at the alien ships through his scope. "They always come in peace," he muttered. "That's what the Kresh said before they burned Colony 7. "Sir, these aren't Kresh. Command says they're here for diplomacy," his second-in-command warned. Carver spat. "I don't trust any of them. We shoot first, or we die. Load the missiles." On the Velhari flagship, the diplomatic exchange continued smoothly. Caleth prepared to take a shuttle down to the human station for formal introductions. She wore her finest robes, ceremonial garments that showed her royal status. Her mother checked them one last time. "You will do wonderfully, my heart," Isendra said softly. "Speak from your truth, and they will see our peaceful intentions. I won't disappoint you, mother." Caleth embraced her. The princess boarded her shuttle with a small delegation. The craft was elegant, marked with royal symbols, unarmed as a show of peace. It detached from the flagship and began its descent toward the meeting station. Carver watched through his targeting system. "That one's got fancy markings. Probably someone important." "Sir, we can't," his second began. "Fire!" The missiles screamed through space. On the shuttle, Caleth was reviewing her speech when alarms blared. The pilot shouted a warning, but there was no time. The missile struck them hard, ripping through the hull. The shuttle spun violently, systems failing, atmosphere venting. Caleth was thrown against the wall. She heard screaming, then silence, as the crew died around her. Emergency systems kicked in, sealing her in a protective pod. Through the viewport, she saw stars spinning wildly as the shuttle plummeted toward the moon below. On the flagship, Isendra felt it before the sensors confirmed. A mother's instinct, ancient and powerful. "Caleth!" she screamed. The bridge erupted in chaos. The communication officer reported the attack, sensors showing the shuttle was hit. Human Command was broadcasting frantic apologies, claiming it wasn't authorized, but Isendra barely heard them. Get my daughter. Send rescue ships now. Her skin blazed bright blue, brighter than anyone had seen in decades. Your Majesty, the shuttle crashed in hostile territory. That militia group controls the area. Our ships will be attacked if— I don't care. Find her. Isendra's voice shook the bridge. But the human commander on the screen was speaking urgently. Your Majesty, please. This was not our doing. Give us time to find her. If you send forces, the militia will see it as an invasion. More will die. Isendra's hands trembled. Every instinct screamed to rain fire on that moon, to tear it apart until she found her daughter. But she was a queen. She had to think beyond her heart. You have 12 hours, she said coldly. Find my daughter, or I will consider this an act of war. The transmission ended. Isendra collapsed into her command chair, her bright blue skin now pulsing with barely contained rage and fear. Around her, the fleet prepared for battle, while desperately hoping for peace. On the moon's surface, the shuttle lay broken in a rocky canyon. Fire burned around the wreckage. Kalet's pod had protected her from the worst, but she was injured. Her leg was broken, her breathing shallow. The pod cracked open, and toxic atmosphere seeped in. Her species could breathe it for a while, but not long. Not with a broken suit. She crawled from the wreckage, pain shooting through her body. She could hear strange sounds in the distance, animal calls in the alien wilderness. Her translator was damaged, hemming loosely from her ear. She was alone, dying on a hostile world. Mother, she whispered, knowing Isendra couldn't hear her. Tears ran down her face, glowing softly blue in the darkness. Above, both fleets faced each other. Humans scrambled to disavow the militia and organize rescue teams. Valhari commanders urged their queen to strike immediately. The diplomatic mission had become a nightmare in minutes. And somewhere on that moon, hidden in the rocks, a human soldier named Marcus Reeves heard the explosion. He was on a solo reconnaissance mission, mapping the terrain. He saw the shuttle fall from the sky, saw it crash. His orders were clear. Observe only. Do not engage. But Marcus had never been good at following orders when someone needed help. He grabbed his pack and started running toward the crash site. He had no idea that this decision would change the fate of two species. The first chapter of the story had been written in fire and fear. Now, the real journey would begin. Marcus ran through the rocky terrain, his boots crunching against loose stones. Smoke rose in the distance, marking the crash site. His communication device buzzed with urgent messages from command, but he ignored them. Someone was in that wreckage. Someone who needed help. The canyon came into view, and Marcus stopped, breathing hard. The shuttle was beautiful, even in destruction, its metal gleaming with colors he had never seen before. It was clearly not human technology. This was one of the aliens from the fleet above. He approached carefully, rifle ready, but lowered. Not threatening, just cautious. The area was dangerous, even without considering who might be inside. The local wildlife was deadly, and the militia that shot this thing down might still be nearby. "Hello?" he called out. "Anyone alive in there?" A sound answered him. Not words, but a gasp of pain. Marcus moved faster, climbing over twisted metal. Inside the broken pod, he found her. She was like nothing he had ever seen. Tall, slender, with skin that glowed faintly blue. Her face was humanoid, but different. More elegant somehow. Her eyes were large and golden, filled with terror as she saw him. She tried to move away, crying out in pain. Hey, it's okay," Marcus said softly, holding up his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." She didn't understand his words, but maybe she understood his tone. She stopped trying to move, watching him with those frightened golden eyes. Marcus could see her leg was badly broken, bent at a wrong angle. Her suit was torn, and some kind of device on her head sparked with damage. He scanned the atmosphere with his wrist device. The air here had high sulfur content, toxic to humans in long exposure. He had his suit protecting him, but her suit was broken, and she was breathing hard, struggling. Okay. Medical kit. I can do this. Marcus talked to himself as much as to her, pulling out his emergency supplies. He had basic training for alien biology, though he never thought he would use it. First, the breathing problem. Her species needed lower sulfur content. Marcus looked around the wreckage and found her ship's atmosphere system, still partially working. He pulled out cables and filters from his own equipment, his hands working fast. He had jury-rigged equipment in combat zones before. This was just another problem to solve. The alien girl watched him work, her breathing getting worse. She reached out weakly, touching his arm. Her skin was warm, almost hot. She said something in her language, desperate and scared. I know, just hold on, Marcus muttered. He connected the final wire, and the makeshift recycler hummed to life. Cleaner air began to flow from the device he had strapped together. He held it near her face like an oxygen mask. She breathed deeply, and her skin grew brighter. That was good, he thought. Probably meant she was doing better. Her eyes met his, and something passed between them. Gratitude, maybe, or just the shared understanding that he was trying to help. Next, the leg. Marcus had painkillers, but would they work on her biology? He checked his scanner, comparing her readings to the database. Close enough to risk it, he decided. He injected her with a reduced dose. She flinched, but didn't pull away. I have to set this leg. It's going to hurt. I'm sorry. He showed her what he meant, gesturing. She seemed to understand. She gripped a piece of metal beside her and nodded. Marcus worked as gently as he could, but setting a broken bone was never easy. She cried out, a sound that was eerily similar to human pain, despite being alien. Her skin flashed bright blue, almost white. Tears ran down her face, glowing like little stars. But she didn't fight him. She trusted him to do this. He splinted the leg with materials from both their equipment, wrapping it carefully. The whole time he talked to her. You're doing great. Almost done. My name's Marcus, by the way. Marcus Reeves. I'm from Earth. That blue planet you probably saw before someone shot you down. I'm sorry about that. Not all of us are like that. Some of us are just trying to help. She listened to his voice, even though she couldn't understand most of it. But voices mattered when you were in pain and scared. Marcus knew that from experience. When he finished, she was exhausted. The makeshift atmosphere recycler would only work for so long. He needed to get her somewhere safer. But where? The militia might still be hunting. His own command would take hours to arrive. The Velhari fleet would probably blast anything human on sight right now. As if reading his thoughts, his comm device crackled. All units, be advised. Velhari fleet is on high alert. Human rescue teams are being organized, but militia presence makes approach dangerous. If anyone has contact with the crashed alien craft, report immediately. Marcus looked at the alien girl. She was watching him, waiting to see what he would do. He could report in, hand her over to rescue teams. That was the safe, proper thing to do. But it would take too long. She might not survive the wait, and the militia was still out there. Marcus made his decision. Change of plans, he said to her. We're taking a trip together. He helped her sit up, supporting her weight. She was lighter than he expected, despite being taller. Her damaged translator sparked, and suddenly a voice came through in broken English. You help me? Why? Marcus stopped, surprised it was working at all. He looked at her face, at those golden eyes full of confusion and fear and hope. Because it's the right thing to do. Because, if I was crashed on your world, I'd hoped someone like you would help me. Because I promised my mom I'd always choose to save lives when I could." The translator struggled with his words, but some meaning got through. She reached up and touched his face gently, her warm hand against his cheek. "Thank you," she said in halting English. "You're welcome. Now let's get you home." Marcus picked her up as carefully as he could, settling her weight against him. She held onto his shoulders, her head resting against his neck. He could feel her breathing, smell something like cinnamon and ozone from her skin. "Can you tell me your name?" he asked as he started walking. The translator crackled. "Caliph. Princess Caliph." Marcus nearly tripped. "Princess? Oh man, your mom must be really worried." Through the translator's broken function, he heard something that might have been a laugh or a sob. "Yes, mother, worry." "Then, let's get you back to her." They moved into the wilderness, leaving the crash site behind. Neither of them knew it yet, but their journey was just beginning. The moon's terrain was brutal. Sharp rocks cut through the landscape like broken teeth, and toxic fog settled in the valleys after sunset. Marcus carried Caliph for hours, stopping only when he needed to rest. She was light, but still a burden over long distances, and his own wounds from climbing through the wreckage were starting to hurt. They found shelter in a cave as the first of the moon's 3 suns set. Marcus helped Caliph sit against the stone wall, checking her makeshift atmosphere recycler. It was holding, but barely. He would need to rebuild it soon with better parts. "How are you feeling?" he asked. The translator, which he had spent the last hour repairing, worked better now. "Pain, much pain, but living, because of you." Marcus opened a ration pack and offered her a portion. She sniffed it cautiously, then shook her head. He pulled out his scanner and checked her biology readings again. Different nutritional needs, of course. "What do you eat?" he asked. Caliph pointed weakly to her survival pack, which Marcus had salvaged from the wreckage. Inside, he found strange bars that glowed faintly. He handed her one, and she ate slowly, her movements weak. "Tell me about your mother," Marcus said, trying to keep her alert. "What's she like?" Caliph's skin brightened slightly, a sign he was learning meant positive emotion. "Mother is strong, Queen of Velhari. She rules with wisdom, justice. She teaches me that all life is sacred. All intelligent beings deserve respect." Caliph's voice caught. "This attack, it hurts her heart. She believes in peace." "My mom's strong too," Marcus said. "She raised me alone after my dad died, worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. She taught me that being strong doesn't mean being hard. It means having the courage to be kind, even when the world isn't kind to you." "How did he die?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. Senseless violence. Wrong place, wrong time. A fight that had nothing to do with him, but he got caught in it. "I was 12. I promised my mom that day that I'd be different, that I'd help people instead of hurting them." "Then why be soldier?" "To protect. Not everyone who carries a gun wants to use it. Some of us just want to make sure the people who do want to use them can't hurt the innocent." Marcus checked his weapon, more habit than necessity. "Though I guess I'm not doing a great job with the protecting part, you still got shot down." "Not your fault," Caliph said firmly. "Those humans, they are not you." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the wind outside the cave. Strange sounds echoed in the darkness, creatures moving through the night. Marcus built a small heat generator to keep them warm as the temperature dropped. "Marcus," Caliph said softly, "you will see her again." "I hope so. I promised her I'd come home." "I want to see my mother again too." "You will, I promise you that." Caliph looked at him with those golden eyes, and Marcus saw the fear there. She wanted to believe him, but belief was hard when you were broken and lost on an alien world. The night brought danger. Marcus woke to the sound of something large moving outside the cave. He grabbed his rifle, moving to the entrance. In the moonlight, he saw a creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, all scales and claws and teeth. It had smelled them, was hunting them. Marcus fired warning shots, the sound echoing through the canyon. The creature roared, but didn't retreat. Behind him, Caliph made a frightened sound. The creature charged. Marcus aimed carefully, firing shots at its legs, trying to wound rather than kill. The creature was just hunting, just trying to survive like they were. But it wouldn't stop. Finally, he had no choice. His shot found its heart, and the beast fell. He stood there, breathing hard, rifle smoking. He hated killing, even animals. But survival demanded harsh choices sometimes. "You could have died," Caliph said when he returned to her side. "Why risk yourself for me?" "Because you're under my protection now. That's what it means." Marcus reloaded his weapon with shaking hands. "Besides, I made you a promise." The next day, they continued their journey. Marcus fashioned a better carrying system using his equipment, making it easier to move with Caliph. She helped by pointing out safer paths when she could see them, her eyes better adapted to spot certain dangers. They talked as they traveled, sharing stories of their worlds. Caliph described Velhari cities that floated on oceans of liquid crystal, where art and science blended into beauty. Marcus told her about Earth's diversity, about mountains and forests and deserts, about the millions of different people trying to figure out how to live together. "Humans fight each other," Caliph observed. "Why?" "Fear, mostly. Resources. Old hatreds. Sometimes just because we forget that the person across from us is a person too." Marcus adjusted her weight on his back. "We're young as a species. Still learning. Still making mistakes. Velhari fought too, long ago. We learned. Humans will learn." "I hope you're right." On the third day they heard engines. Marcus hid them quickly in the undergrowth, watching as militia vehicles rolled past. They were searching, hunting. Carver's voice crackled over their communications, which Marcus intercepted. "That alien princess is worth a fortune. Dead or alive, someone will pay. Find her." Marcus felt Caliph tense against him. He squeezed her hand gently. "I won't let them." But the militia was getting closer. They had tracking equipment, were following the trail. Marcus would need to make a stand soon, and he knew he couldn't fight them all. That night, while Marcus tried to plan their next move, Caliph grew very still. Her skin was dim, her breathing shallow. The makeshift atmosphere system was failing completely. "Caliph, stay with me." Marcus worked frantically, trying to repair it again. "Marcus," her voice was weak, "if I die, tell my mother I was not afraid, because you were with me." "You're not dying. Don't talk like that." But her eyes were closing. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. He had promised her mother, promised her, promised himself. He couldn't let her die. Then Caliph did something unexpected. Her hand touched his chest, and he felt warmth spread through his body. Her species had minor bioelectric abilities, he remembered. She was using what little strength she had left to show him something. Images filled his mind. Her mother's face, full of love and worry. The palace where she grew up. The day her mother told her she was old enough to join this mission. The pride in Isendra's eyes. The last words they spoke, "Come home to me, my heart." Tears ran down Marcus's face. "I'll get you home, I swear it." He worked through the night, rebuilding the atmosphere system from scratch. His own air supply was running low now, but he didn't care. When dawn came, the system was working again, and Caliph was breathing easier. She opened her eyes, and found him slumped beside her, exhausted. She reached out and touched his face. "You saved me. Again." Marcus, finally managed to get a signal through on the fourth day. His military communication device had been damaged in their flight from the militia, but he had repaired it with parts from Caleth's equipment. The hybrid technology worked. Barely. This is Sergeant Marcus Reeves, service number Delta 739. I have the Velhari Princess. She's alive. I repeat, the princess is alive. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Human Command flooded the channel with questions. Where were they? What was their condition? Could they hold position for extraction? Negative on holding position. Militia is actively hunting us. We need immediate extraction at these coordinates. Marcus read off their location from his GPS device. Copy that, Sergeant. Extraction teams are mobilizing. Be advised, Velhari fleet is also converging on your position. Marcus looked at Caleth, who had understood enough through her translator. Her skin brightened with hope for the first time in days. Mother is coming, she whispered. Yeah, your mom's coming. Marcus smiled despite his exhaustion. But hope came with complications. Within hours, the sky above them filled with ships. Human military vessels approached from the east, their engines roaring. From the west came the Velhari fleet, massive and terrible in their power. Both forces converged on the coordinates Marcus had sent. On the ground, Marcus and Caleth found themselves in the center of the largest military standoff in human history. Hundreds of ships from both species faced each other, weapons charged, ready for war. The human commander, Admiral Richardson, broadcast on all channels. Velhari forces, we are here to return your princess safely. Stand down and let us bring her to you. Queen Isendra's voice answered, and even through the transmission, her power was evident. You shot down my daughter. You will forgive me if I do not trust your forces near her. That was not our military. It was rogue militia, now being hunted as criminals. Your species, your responsibility. Marcus listened to the argument escalating, and felt Caleth's hand tighten on his arm. She was trembling, and he realized it wasn't from pain or fear for herself. It was fear of what might happen because of her. This is my fault, she whispered. War will come because I crashed. No, Marcus said firmly. War will come only if people choose it, and we're going to give them a reason to choose differently. He activated his comm again, broadcasting on both channels. This is Sergeant Reeves. I'm the human with the princess. We're coming out now. Both sides need to stand down and let us through. Sergeant, that's not advisable, Admiral Richardson said. The militia is still in the area. As if summoned by the words, gunfire erupted. The militia, seeing their prize about to be taken by both governments, made their move. Carver and his group attacked from the rocky ridge, firing on Marcus and Caleth's position. Marcus threw himself over Caleth, shielding her with his body. He felt something slam into his back, pain exploding through his shoulder. His armor had stopped the worst of it, but he was hit. Marcus, Caleth's scream was raw with terror. He rolled off her, raising his rifle with his good arm. Blood ran down his back, but he could still fight. He returned fire, keeping the militia pinned down, but there were too many of them, and he was wounded. Then the sky lit up with fire. Both the human and Velhari forces, seeing the militia attack, opened fire simultaneously. For a moment, the two species that had been threatening each other turned their weapons on a common enemy. The militia position was obliterated in seconds. Silence fell over the battlefield, except for the wind. Marcus, you are hurt. Caleth was crying, her tears glowing as they fell on his armor. Why did you protect me? You should save yourself. Not how this works, Marcus grunted, pressing his hand to the wound. I protect you. That's the deal. Caleth looked at him, at this human who had given everything to keep her alive. She made a decision. Her hands began to glow with soft blue light, and she placed them on his wound. Marcus gasped as electricity ran through his body, not painful, but strange, warm. "What are you doing?" he asked. "My people have small ability. Healing. It is weak in me. But," she concentrated, and Marcus felt his pain ebbing. "You saved me many times. I save you once." The wound didn't fully heal, but it stopped bleeding. The pain became manageable. Marcus looked at Caleth in wonder. "Thank you. We save each other," she said simply. "This is what it means to be friends." Landing craft from both fleets began to descend. The human forces sat down on one side, the Velhari on the other. Soldiers from both species emerged, weapons ready, but not aimed at each other. Not yet. And then the largest Velhari ship landed, so massive it seemed to block out the sky. The ramp lowered, and Queen Isendra emerged. She was magnificent and terrifying. Nearly 8 feet tall, her skin blazing with bright blue light that pulsed with barely contained emotion. She wore armor that looked like living metal, and her eyes scanned the battlefield with an intensity that made hardened soldiers step back. Those eyes found Caleth. Time seemed to stop. Isendra saw her daughter, broken and bloody but alive, being supported by a human soldier. The queen made a sound, something between a gasp and a sob. Then she was running, her dignity forgotten, just a mother, racing to her child. "My heart, my daughter." Isendra fell to her knees before them, her hands shaking as she reached for Caleth. "Mother," Caleth sobbed, "I am here. I am alive." They embraced, and Marcus carefully moved aside, giving them space. The queen held her daughter, and the most powerful being in the Velhari Empire wept. Her tears glowed like blue stars falling to the ground. She spoke in her own language, words Marcus couldn't understand, but recognized. Words of love, relief, fear, released. Every soldier, human and Velhari alike, watched in silence. This was not a military moment. This was something more fundamental. This was family reunited. Finally, Isendra pulled back, her hands framing Caleth's face. She spoke in perfect English, clearly learned in the desperate days of searching. "You are hurt. I am alive because of him." Caleth turned to Marcus. "This human, he saved me, protected me. He promised I would see you again, and he kept his promise." Isendra looked at Marcus fully for the first time. He stood there, bloodied and exhausted, a young human soldier who had done something extraordinary. The queen rose to her feet, towering over him. Marcus straightened, meeting her eyes. He expected anger, maybe suspicion. Instead, he saw something he didn't expect. Queen Isendra studied the human soldier before her. Marcus Reeves stood at attention despite his wounds, his armor scarred and stained with blood, both his and from the creatures he had fought. His eyes were honest, tired, but unwavering. This was the being who had saved her daughter. The queen did something that shocked every Velhari present. She knelt. In Velhari culture, the monarch knelt for no one. It was the highest honor, reserved only for those who had performed deeds beyond measure. The gesture sent ripples through both assembled forces. Human soldiers gaped. Velhari commanders stood frozen in disbelief. Isendra bowed her head to Marcus. When she spoke, her voice carried across the battlefield. "You saved my daughter's life. You asked for nothing, expected nothing. You did this because it was right. There is no greater honor I can give than this. My gratitude, freely offered, from a mother to the one who brought her child home." Marcus felt his face burning. He wasn't comfortable with this kind of attention. "Your Majesty, please, I just did what anyone should do." "But you were the one who did it," Isendra said, rising. "You were the one who ran toward danger instead of away. You are the one who shared your resources, risked your life, and kept your promise. You are the one. Kaylet struggled to stand, and Marcus immediately moved to help her. She smiled at him and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. I want to tell everyone what this human did for me. The translator devices were set to broadcast. Every soldier from both species heard Kaylet's testimony. She spoke of the crash, of waking injured and afraid. She described how Marcus found her, how he could have walked away, called it in, saved himself. But he didn't. He fixed my breathing system with his own equipment. He set my broken leg while I screamed in pain. And he cried with me. He carried me for days across hostile land. He fought animals to protect me. He went without food so I would have enough. He was shot defending me. Her voice grew stronger, more passionate. When I was dying, when my breathing system failed and I thought it was the end, he stayed up all night rebuilding it. He used his own air supply to save mine. And when I thanked him, you know what he said? Kaylet looked at Marcus with such affection that it made Isendra's heart ache with gratitude. He said, "That's what friends do." This human, who had known me for only days, who didn't speak my language, who had every reason to fear me or leave me, he called me friend. Silence filled the battlefield. Then Kaylet said the words that would echo through history. In my darkest moment, when I thought I would die alone on this alien moon, Marcus held my hand. He told me, "You're going to see your mother again. I promise." And he kept that promise. Isendra felt fresh tears on her face. She looked at this human soldier with wonder. "You promised my daughter she would come home." "Yes, ma'am." Marcus's voice was rough with emotion. "Why? You owed us nothing. Your species and mine were on the brink of war." Marcus was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Because she reminded me that people are people, no matter what they look like or where they're from. Because I have a mother too, and I couldn't imagine her pain if our positions were reversed. Because it was right." He paused, then added softly, "And because someone has to choose kindness. If we only ever meet violence with violence, fear with fear, then we never break the cycle. We just keep hurting each other forever. Not for her, not for us." Admiral Richardson stepped forward from the human side. "Your Majesty, Sergeant Reeves acted without orders, but I believe he may have single-handedly prevented a war neither of our species could afford." Isendra nodded slowly. "Yes, he showed us that humans are capable of great compassion. That your species, though young, has wisdom." She looked at her assembled commanders. "We came here in peace. We were attacked by a few, but saved by one. I choose to see the truth in the one who saved my daughter, rather than the hatred of those who harmed her." She turned to face both fleets, her voice carrying with authority. "I declare here, before all witnesses, that the Valhari Empire will pursue peace with humanity. We will negotiate an alliance, a friendship between our peoples. This is my decree." The human admiral seemed to sag with relief. "The Earth government will be honored to negotiate such an alliance, Your Majesty." But Isendra wasn't finished. She looked back at Marcus. "There is still the matter of reward. You saved a princess of Valhari. Such deeds must be recognized." Marcus shook his head. "I don't need a reward, Your Majesty. Just knowing she's safe is enough." "Nevertheless, you will accept." Isendra's tone made it clear this wasn't negotiable. "Name what you wish. Wealth, land, technology, a position of honor in my court." Marcus thought about it. What did he want? Then it came to him, simple and clear. "Permission to call home, ma'am. I need to tell my mother I'm okay. She worries." The request was so unexpected, so human and humble, that Isendra laughed. It was a sound of joy, breaking the tension. "That is all you want? To speak to your mother?" "Yes, ma'am, if that's possible." Isendra gestured to her communications officer. "Make it so." and ensure he has the finest medical care immediately. His wounds must be treated. As medics from both species converged to help Marcus and Caliph, a communication station was set up. Marcus sat down, his hands shaking slightly as the connection was established. The screen flickered, and then his mother's face appeared. She was older, with gray in her dark hair and lines around her eyes. Those eyes widened when she saw him. "Marcus? Oh God, Marcus! I heard about the incident with the aliens, and they said you were involved, but wouldn't tell me anything else. Are you hurt? Where are you?" "I'm okay, Mom. I'm safe." Marcus felt his throat tighten with emotion. "I'm home. Well, I will be soon." "What happened? The news is saying all kinds of things about wars and aliens and—" "I helped someone who needed it, Mom. That's all. I did what you taught me." His mother's expression softened, pride shining through her worry. "You helped someone?" "Yeah. Her name's Caliph. She was hurt and scared, and I couldn't just leave her. So I didn't." Marcus smiled tiredly. "I promised her she'd see her mother again. She's with her mom now." "Oh, sweetheart." His mother wiped tears from her eyes. "Your father would be so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I just wanted you to know I'm okay. I kept my promise to you too. I chose to save a life instead of taking one. That's my boy. Come home soon, okay?" "I will, Mom. I love you." "I love you too, baby. So much." The transmission ended. Marcus sat there for a moment, letting the relief wash over him. He had made it. They had made it. A shadow fell across him. Isendra stood there, and beside her was Caliph, now properly treated and supported by medical equipment. The Queen had been watching his conversation. "That was your mother," Isendra said quietly. "Yes, ma'am. She raised a good son. She did her best." Isendra smiled, a gesture that transformed her fearsome features into something warm. "I understand now. I understand why you saved Caliph. You did it for the same reason I would have torn this moon apart to find her. Because love matters. Because family matters. Because we are, all of us, someone's child." She placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder, gentle despite her strength. "You have given me back my daughter. In return, I give you this, friendship. Not between nations, but between us. You are welcome in my home, on my world, whenever you wish. You are family to us now." Caliph stepped forward, taking Marcus's hand. "You called me friend in my darkest hour. I call you brother in my moment of joy. Thank you, Marcus, for everything. I'm just glad you're safe. Both of you." The medical team insisted on taking Marcus to the ship for proper treatment. As they led him away, he looked back at the battlefield, where so many ships from two species had nearly gone to war. Instead, they stood together, beginning the hard work of peace. 6 months later, Marcus stood on the Velhari homeworld. The city before him did float on a crystal ocean, just as Caliph had described. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. He wore civilian clothes now, having left the military with full honors after the incident. Caliph met him at the landing platform, walking without assistance, fully healed. She embraced him like the brother she had named him. "Welcome to our home, Marcus." They walked together through the palace, where art and science blended into living beauty. Isendra greeted him in the throne room, and this time her smile was immediate, warm. "Marcus Reeves, you returned to us. Your Majesty invited me. I couldn't refuse." "Good. We have much to show you. But first," Isendra gestured, and a holographic display appeared. It showed human and Velhari ships flying together, joint bases being constructed, cultural exchanges in progress. Because you chose compassion, two species now choose cooperation. Because you kept your promise to one person, billions have hope for the future. Marcus watched the display, humbled. I didn't do it for that. I just wanted to help. I know, Isendra said gently. That is exactly why it mattered. You taught us that heroism has no species, that courage is universal, that kindness is the greatest strength of all. Kalith linked her arm with his. You gave me back to my mother. Now we give you a gift in return. You are named Honorary Prince of Velhari. You have a home here, always. And more than that, you have a family. He had saved one person, and in doing so, had helped save millions. Not through violence or threats, but through simple human decency. Thank you, he said quietly. All of you. Thank you. Later that night, Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the crystal ocean. Kalith joined him, two friends watching the stars. Do you think others will learn from this? She asked. Will humans and Velhari truly stay friends? I don't know, Marcus admitted. Peace is harder than war. It requires constant choice, constant effort. But I think we have a chance, because people saw what happened. They saw that different species can care for each other. That's a start. Because of you. Because of us. You trusted me when you had every reason not to. Your mother chose peace when war would have been easier. We all made choices. Kalith leaned her head on his shoulder, a gesture she had learned from human custom. I am glad you found me that day. Me too. Above them, ships from Earth and Velhari passed in orbit, former enemies becoming allies. And it had all begun with one soldier who couldn't walk past someone in need, and one princess who learned that kindness transcends the stars. In the end, it wasn't weapons or technology that bridged the gap between species. It was something simpler and far more powerful. It was one person seeing another person suffer and choosing to help. It was a promise kept. It was a mother's love reflected across the galaxy. It was Marcus saying he would bring her home, and meaning it. It was Isendra weeping with joy when her daughter returned. It was the day two species learned they weren't so different after all.